it's usually easy to convince someone if the answer comes from them. But if you're the one saying, no, you need marketing, it's like you're attacking their baby. Yes, people say don't follow the trends, but I believe that to a certain point, they can help catapult your visibility.
The client is comparing you to someone else.
I don't know how to answer that in that moment. I didn't know what to do. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Kisky here, glad to have you. So today I'm in a new space. As you can tell, we are doing something new. We are getting a new segment. We haven't found a name for it yet, but we're going to basically be talking about creativity, and we have my friend on set, Ivan. So we're going to have a new segment. So we're just going to be talking about some questions that you guys have asked on the internet, and hopefully you'll learn a bit of things from here. And I have 3 cameras, so I have to get used to which one to look at. But yeah, without wasting much time, we'll get into the questions. So over to you, Ivan. What are the people saying?
So the people asking questions, but today is more about creativity. We're going to be having different questions, but today is about creativity, a creative space, seeing that you've inspired out of many people in the creative space. So yeah,
have I?
Yeah, you really inspired a lot, including inclusive.
All right.
So we have first, let's dive into the questions right away. So the first question, this was from me, because
you're already cheating.
Yeah, you're already cheating. I have to put up this as mine. So, in the creative space, we find ourselves exposed to many skills. You find that you're an animator, a video editor, tomorrow a photographer. How do you stay true to yourself to know that, okay, I choose this and this is for the long term? How do you, because also we see you, also your videographer, graphic designer, branding strategist, and also photographer. So how do you stay to say, okay,
this is who I am?
Yeah,
it's a very interesting question, that one, because I think that for me, what grounds me is the 80-20 rule in so many different facets, right? Some people talk about how it's only the 20% that sometimes matters. When I look at it in terms of creativity, the 80-20 rule, I believe that you should not only stick to one thing. For example, the photographers that I get to teach, I always tell them that you should not only learn photography. Yes, we're teaching you photography, but you need to learn a bit about video. You need to learn about sound. I always give this interesting story that one time I was somewhere and our man of God was in need of someone who could easily adjust the sound on a mixer. And I didn't know what to do. In that moment, I was so embarrassed. Like, I didn't know what to do. He had to go and do it. I was I went and learned sound that day. But what that draws me to is you can't say you're in creative space and the only thing you do is that thing you do. Right? It should be the main thing. Like, if someone ever asks me, who are you, what you do, I always say I'm a photographer, because that's who I am at heart. It's a thing I love doing, but I must learn what does a sound guy do, especially for creatives like us who are in church ministry space. You always end up in places where you may only be the one there, right? You may need to know how to handle sound. You may need to know how to handle video. So you can't be there and you're like, I only know photography.
The person goes to Malaysia and you're the only person.
Are you going to? You can't tell him those stories. So you must obviously know what is that thing at heart that you really love to do, right? There's that thing that draws your passion, the thing that you spend most of your time learning, but that should not stop you from learning the other things. So I would say divide it into an 80-20 rule question.
There you have the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
I hope it works for everyone and you learn something from that. So the next question, this was a friend of mine. I have a problem of dealing with the balance between staying true to my artistic vision and meeting some client expectations. The place where the client is comparing you to someone else. Maybe they had someone doing for them some work before. They felt the person was good, but maybe the person became busy or he was overcharging. And then you come in and have a fair pay at that place. You come in and have a fair price. They're like, okay, you do some good, you're good at your work. And then they feel like they still want to compare to the other person. So how do you deal with that to stay true to stay true to your artistic vision. Like, this is me. This is how I design. And then, but you're still conflicted with the client's comparison of you to another person. Have you ever been in that spot before?
Two answers really. One our man of God said it. Usually, I remember he talked about it in a sermon where, like, sometimes, especially came home to creatives, like, you feel like you're the one who understands the client's vision, right?
Yeah, oh God.
So an architect, like, no, you get. I think that side there's a balance, because also when it comes to the creative side, especially now, things like weddings, right? In our space, there are certain people who, I don't call them are trending, but most people want that look, right? Because now it's what let's say the expensive weddings, that's what they get. So even someone else will be like, I want it to be like that. One thing my mentor taught me was, if someone wants someone, you get them that someone. You get, like, if someone comes to me and they're like, can you edit my video like Ivan does? And I have and I know Ivan. I'm like, why don't I just get you Ivan? And he does it. You get it? That's the balance. The place of, yes, they've come, one, they must understand they've come to you because of your expertise, right? That's why usually when you're asking clients who have been referred to you, or when you're having a conversation for the first time, it's usually good to really understand how they got to know you. Why do they want to work with you? Is it because of price? Usually now if it's because of price, then it's a bit tricky. But if it's because of your creative style, you need to understand that. Because again, as a creative, especially a photographer, videographer, you want to hone your style. That's how you get to know who Christopher Nolan is. You know what his movies are about. Even before they come out, you just expect them to twist your mind, to really give you something, right? If he was all over the place going with what Disney wants, going with what DreamWorks wants, he doesn't get time to make him who he is. There's so many directors, but it's a handful of people that we know over a period of time because they've stuck to their way of doing it, right? But if you're working again with a client, you must understand the vision. That's why we have things like discovery sessions where you speak to the client, you understand their goals. You understand what is the bigger vision.
So if kindly you can throw some like discovery sessions, because you know someone out there. Discovery sessions, okay. What do you mean by discovery session?
The first time you meet a client, before you get into designing that logo, before you get into taking those photos, a discovery session is sort of a workshop between you and your client. If you're a bigger team, it's between your bigger team and the client's team, where you understand the vision of the client. You understand what's the problem you're trying to solve. So, I know some of you may know who Chris Do is, right?
Yeah, Chris Do.
Many a time he has had those conversations with clients, and you actually realize the problem is not that they need a logo. The problem is that they don't need to rebrand. Actually, their brand has no issue. They just needed to do marketing better. You get
now. Sorry to cut you short. Now that's the exact point I like. I think that's what he was asking. Exact point that I know what you want, but you're not communicating it. But when I'm trying to communicate it, you don't. It's like you're not getting me. So how do you do that? They need marketing. But I feel like they need a rebranding. But you say the branding is proper. Everything is covered.
One thing that I learned about, I don't know where I got it from. Sort of, I don't know if it was the art of negotiation, but it's usually easy to convince someone if the answer comes from them.
Okay.
If you have a conversation with someone and it seems like you're the one giving them the opinion, it's harder for them to accept it. So if that person is talking to the client, how can they ask questions that allow the client to be the one answering them and realizing that actually I need this? But if you're the one saying no, you need marketing, that's a client. It's like you're attacking their baby.
Okay.
You get. But if if you're the one telling you my baby needs this,
needs the marketing.
Yes, actually my baby needs this. I thought they needed this. How do you get to that point? And then from there, the client will be able to realize, okay, actually I needed marketing, not a logo. And also it's a mature thing I've realized in business. If you do not actually give the marketing, to direct them to someone who would do it better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a place of maturity. Otherwise, sometimes you take on things that you may not handle, and later on you don't get.
So you talked about the 8-20 rule in the first question. So this second question, is there any format of questions they can, like a reference you can refer to people where they can get questions to ask the clients? Like those foundational questions that can really help you dig into the client's needs and
for this not to be long, I would advise them to listen to Christo.
Okay.
He has so many sessions where he does sort of like acting, play rolling with people, and he talks about those questions. It will help you a lot because it will cut across any creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to Chris Do and you go to his YouTube and you learn a lot.
You get a lot there.
So another question is talk about trends. Trends of photography, videography, editing styles. So and the question is, the third question is, there are many top trends now we see. Like we are an overload of information. Coming up with challenges, trends. How do you stay producing quality content without being pressured with the trends? It's more like
again, I think there's a balance. One, understanding you if you're a brand, if it's a personal thing, or if you're company, or if it's a company, what is the brand of the company? Trends are not bad. It only becomes tricky if your whole brand is made of them. For example, there's a company called Ryanair. And there's also a company, I forget, it's a pizza company in the UK, Domino's, I think. One thing that they do a lot of is when in the football world, when like Spurs loses badly or Man United loses badly, they'll crack a funny joke, or they'll say things like, even our pizzas are not as empty as Spurs, but like it's a trending topic, but we know Domino's for that voice, even away from if Spurs didn't lose, we know their voice online to be fun. Same thing with Ryanair. If you look at some of their posts, today I was seeing a post, I don't know if we'll be able to put it up here, where like someone was saying that we need to get airlines back to the glory days when they were feeding people on the train, on the plane, and then Ryanair was like, they quoted it and they were like, what someone expects for $20. You get it, and there is a buffet one like that is in there. So it's sort of a trend, and they jump on that trend, but they keep their voice. That's because that's who they are. So they are not lost in the trend. If the trend wasn't there, they would still be able to deliver something with that. You get. The thing about trends is sometimes they help catapult your audience in terms of not your audience but your visibility. If you tap it properly, it can get you to case in point. Usually algorithms change, right? But one of my best performing videos on TikTok was after like 2 weeks or even after a week of like I watched some video about algorithms and how certain hashtags and how to put them in that help you get into the TikTok algorithm. At that time was when you put certain hashtags, it drops you into certain topics. If your video can fall into a topic, it has higher chances of being reached. So for example, when you scroll on TikTok and there are some videos that you scroll to, and above in the search bar you can see a word like photography. When you see a word like photography, that means that TikTok has taken that video and it now understands it's for photography, so it only shows it to people who are interested in. So I did that thing a week, and then that video, I think the video that I shared was about shutter speed. It fell into that bracket. After a while, it got like 20,000 views, right? Because I understood the trend at that point. But I was still with my voice. I didn't change anything about how I would deliver a video. I used the trend, but I kept my voice.
Okay.
So yes, people say don't follow the trends, but I believe that to a certain point they can help catapult your visibility. But if you keep your brand, firstly, if you understand what your voice is, don't change to the trend. How do you divert it to help you, rather than it being your whole thing? Because usually when you see creators who live off trends, they die after a while, or they have to keep bringing out, and then they have to keep on the trend, and it becomes harder. But if you have your original voice, it's easier to have a longer career or longevity without burning out.
Okay, there you have it. Trends are not bad, but don't build your brand around trends. Just build your original voice. Trends will just help you boost the visibility of your brand. So next to the next question. Okay. Yeah, it's about creativity groups or teams. I'm a photographer, a person is a videographer, editor, creative space. So okay, let's create a group. Let's create like a team, and we advise each other. I've been in such groups, but really realize that at times they don't really. Your expectations go high. I think I'm going to achieve this, but then at the end you don't achieve anything. So, what's your say about creativity groups, or how better can creatives out there work in partnership with each other? What's your say about that?
I don't know how to answer that, because I'm also in the process of understanding how to build collaborative groups. But I feel that would be first understanding, getting the group, even the team I lead. Yes, I've been given a mandate to lead them, but they must understand the vision. Do they understand it? But do they understand how we are going to do it? I keep telling them, mine is a place of building family first. Someone is not about
family
it
first.
If someone is not about it, you can easily tell. And you have to find ways to let those people go, right? Not that I hate them or I don't like them, but it's for the thing. But even along the way, there are people who may have to leave. Some of your best people may leave. How do you handle that?
Right.
But again, as if in that group you're sort of like the leader and you're the one building that vision, no one is ever going to want it the same way you want it. That's one thing you should have in your mind. You're the one who's going to have to wake up earlier. You have to be the one pushing. You can't expect someone to push it the same way you do, because it's in your mind. But if the more you can share that vision, then maybe there you have more people around you who understand it and are willing to push it.
So this is about the creative process, really. Someone was asking the creative process, like you have this background, like not background really, but this long-term project. You're working on a video, you have a video, and you're working on a video, and it's like it's a long video of you're going to be working on it for like a month or 2 weeks. How do you deal with not getting tired of or your design? You have documents and you have to design these documents, and it's like repetitive. How do you keep being motivated? Yeah. How do you keep motivated, like to keep on that excitement the day first open that laptop and open that project? How do you keep the same passion and you're motivated?
I don't know if I think it was Elon Musk or someone said that a project will only go as long as the time you give it.
Oh, okay. Project.
If you say I'm going to do it in a month, things will happen that you'll do it in a month. Or if you say I have to finish this project by Monday, it will be done by Monday. But then also in that, I think one thing that I've learned is, as creatives, we sort of think of the project as a whole. Like I have a video to edit now, like this episode, right? Most of us want to do it in one sitting.
You just sit and let me do this.
I'm not leaving this desk until it's done. Which I think is the wrong way to look at it.
Sometimes you have a lot of other work.
Let me just get this. Then it's not getting done. You get frustrated, then you leave it. You get what I would do, I would break it down. How do you break down your editing process? Okay, say for the next 2 hours, I just want to clean up the footage. Finish that. Go and do other things. And the next time you're sitting, you're like, okay, we're going to now add the proper sound and we're going to add visual effects, right? What that does, it makes this big task smaller. You break it down in chunks. you say, okay, we have to get it done by, it has to be up on Friday, right? So how do I break down my hours so that I'm not stressed? Okay, I know I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to cut the audio and make it better, I have to cut the video, I have to add color. Okay, those are like 4 hours. If it's best not to hit all those 4 hours at once, unless that block of time is really there. But if you can do probably 2 hours, rest, do other things, play a bit of FIFA or something, I don't know, work on other things that build your creativity, come back for the other 2 hours. What that does, it removes the stress. Especially for those projects that are long, like you're going to edit a wedding video. Like if you're saying you're going to do it in one sitting, usually also you may do it in that one sitting, but you may not give it your best.
The quality also.
Because your creativity drops off. That's why usually they say, like, you stop editing a video, then you come back after 30 minutes and sit, you're like, what was I doing? Because you are tired at a certain point, so you just started doing it. So if you break it down in blocks, then it's easier for you that big project becomes easier. But also don't over drag it. If you know you have a month, okay, the deliverable is in 1 month, give yourself 2 weeks, see what you can do it in 2 weeks. So at the last 2 weeks,
back and forth with the client.
Yes, or you're also seeing your edits, you're like, okay, I can do it better here, I can do better here. But if you say, I'll give it to them, before you know it, it's the last Thursday, and you're like, and that has happened to me many times. So I've learned it over time that if you can break it down, okay, you're not going to be able to finish it today, but what can I do today? I'm happy with that because I've reasoned with myself. So reason with yourself, be reasonable to yourself, but also push yourself. If you've given 4 months, what's your limit? Test your limits, right? Then you'll know how great you are. I think it was something I was reading today, like, you can never know how great you are until you push your limit.
I think even James Clear talks about it in the Atomic Habits of those daily things you do, like those small things you do in a task.
If last week you were editing a video in 4 hours, can you try 3 hours, 30 minutes? Like, get better. So yeah, I think those would be
that's it for today.